Hello and welcome to my next tutorial. Today we're going to be making an ancient wooden shield that's brand new. So I think it's pretty cool. Let's get started. We're going to start off with a box. There it is, and the dimensions we're going to use are going to be 100 by 100, and I think we're going to keep the height at 20. Then we're going to use the half sphere. I think that's what they call it. Yep, half sphere. And that's going to be 80 by 80. And we're going to make that a hole. Now we're going to group these two. I'm going to select both of them at the same time by clicking and dragging. Now I'm going to click the letter L, or this one here. And then we're going to group them after we align them, of course. There it is underneath. I select both again and then Control G to group. Now I'm going to click the letter T so I can see what it looks like underneath. There we go. That's part of the shield, at least the form. Now we're going to do a search for a wood plank. I believe that's what they call it, wood plank. Now, if you do a search for it and you cannot find it, it's right here. What you should do is search in my, what do you call it? Video description. And I'll put a link there just in case it gets lost or it doesn't show up. You'll have a copy and it'll just copy that one and paste it onto your project. Which, let me just type right here because it's kind of important to name these things. So, ancient wood, should be wooden shield. Okay, so we're actually going to manipulate this one and we're going to change it to 40 and then 80, and we're going to make the height just a little bit bigger, technically 22.29 to be exact. And then we're going to duplicate this, Control D, and then we're going to rotate it 180 degrees. I'm going to hold the shift button and then with the arrow keys, move it over. Now, you could try to make it, perfect like that. I don't know if it actually is perfectly aligned with that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this side, make sure it's available. This is selected. I'm going to click the letter W and then click there. Now I'm going to click the letter D. Now I know for sure that that they are perfectly aligned, touching each other. So W and click to get it back to normal. So there we go. We have these two. I'm going to group them and we're going to need this block, I believe, 2 more times. So did I group them already? I did not. So I'm going to group them, Control G. Okay, it is one piece. So now I'm going to hit Control D and I didn't do Control D again because it would have just put the piece over here. So I'll just Control D over here. Good. We'll save those for later. Okay, so the next obvious thing, right, is to group these two. But however, this is not a hole. So we're going to click the letter H, and now it will be. I'm going to group these two. And did I do something wrong? I feel like I did something wrong. Did I leave the height 20? All right, so I can fix this. Sorry, guys. Usually I catch these mistakes beforehand. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but if I group this over here, that part's going to be sticking up. So I originally had this height at 90. I changed it to 20. So I'm going to undo this one. Click on the box and make that 30. And that's a hole. I'm going to group these two, Control G. There it is. I was about to call it a cookie. A cookie. I don't think so. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So now they're aligned. If all this works, this should be a hole. So I click the letter H. Okay. I'm looking underneath just to make sure. Then I'm going to group it. There it is. While we're waiting for this. Oh, we're not. Okay. So here's the thing. If you were to print this, you would see all these holes and it would actually be kind of easy to break. It's a shield. It should be, kind of strong. So now we're going to bring in another half sphere. And we're going to make the dimensions 79 by 79. And the height, pay attention to this because it is not going to be the same height as this one over here, this brown one. So this one here is going to be a height of 8. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to group by selecting both. Click the letter L and then click here and click there. Okay, so look, this is what we're going for. There's some space there, so you know that there's something going on with this wood texture. Let's change this. I should have changed it earlier, but you know what? I forgot. This pink-ish. I don't know if it's pink. People tell me it's a different color, but I don't know. I have a limited vocabulary with my colors. So to me, pink, please. Don't judge me. All right, so I'm going to group these two. Now I'm going to bring in a box that is a hole. And this box here is going to be 65 on both sides. And the height at this point doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that we're going to move this up 6 millimeters. So here, the black arrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to group these two, Control L. Sorry, just the letter L. There is no control here, obviously. No one is in control here. All right, so this is just going to cut off the top. Okay, I'm going to select both these things and then group. There it is. Very nice. Okay, so now we're going to put the ring around this. Luckily, we have these things here. Okay, so I'm going to get a tube, and we're going to be playing with these settings over here. So here for this particular tube, because we're going to get a second tube later on, but for this one, it's going to be 10.4. This one is going to be 1, the wall thickness. And this one's going to be 64 because that's the max we can have in terms of the sides. The dimensions are going to be 67.6. So here we go, 67.6. Let's drag this over here. And over here is 67.6. And the height is going to be 2. I'm going to change the color so we know what it's supposed to look like. Yes. And before we do anything else, we're going to just move this up 5 millimeters. Okay, so now that it's over here, I'm going to just center both of these, or align them, sorry. I'm going to click the letter L and L. So there we go. We're almost there. And the next step for this is we're going to need the texture, but the reason we have one of these is because we want the texture to align. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to cut off the same exact piece that actually belongs in the center. So let's just move this over here. We're going to bring in another tube. We're going to change the settings to this one, change the settings on this one to 18. And then 8.75, 8.75. And again, 64 for that one right there. And now we're going to change these numbers. So it's going to be 117. Actually, was it 118? I think it's going to be 118. Now this one, I usually have these numbers written down, but the last time I did this, it came off just a little bit off, and I believe it was these numbers that made it a little bit off. Okay, and the height, I believe this one's a height of 20. So let's make this 23, and we're going to make it a hole. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Let's bring this over here. Now, very important you do this part. You got to select both and align. There. Now we're going to group this, Control G. While we're waiting for this, I do need to say that I'm going to give out a shout out to the to the surf riders from Wanaloa Elementary School. Miss G says hi. She loves how hard you work in her class. So I'm going to bring this box over here. And where was I? I want this. Oh, this is 20. Okay, so it's 20, right? So all I'm going to do is expand. The height is going to be perfect the way it is. I'm going to group these two. I was going to say Firebirds earlier. That's a local team over here, but they're the Surf Riders. Okay. Now, oops, I grabbed the wrong little box here. This one I need to align, so I'm going to select both of these, click the letter L, there and there. Okay, it's floating, and I believe shields don't float just yet, but just wait, I'm sure they will. Okay, we're going to go straight down, and what we want, oh, I guess I didn't align it. Oh, it's not aligned. It is not aligned. There, all of it is aligned now. Okay, what we want is for this edge to be this parallel to that edge. So I'm going to select the wooden center, this ring, and click the letter L, and I'm going to use this right here. Good. So if you look at the texture and the pattern, they match, right? That's what we're going for. So now, this is the basics of the shield, and I'm going to decorate it slightly here. I'm going to make this, again, this silvery color. I'm going to maximize the sides because why not? And this one right here is going to be 4 by 4 by 4. I'm not sure if you noticed, but what I did is I hit shift and I dragged it down a little bit. Then I clicked the number 4 and I made all the sides 4. Okay, let's see, are these out? They're not. I'm going to group this here, all of this, so that it doesn't move. Yep, I know Miss G, she's an awesome teacher, and I know you guys are enjoying all of her work, all of her hard work. Oh, there it is. So now I'm going to move this. Actually, let's just move it into the shield and then up. I want it to be halfway between the ring and the outer part, so that's good right there. Just eyeball it for right now. Now I'm going to duplicate this and then I'm going to move it to the other side. I use the arrow keys so that it stays perfectly aligned. There you go. Okay, so now I have that selected. Now this sphere will be selected. Now I'm going to Control D, duplicate. Oh. Tinkercad thinks that I'm creating a pattern here. I'm not technically in that direction at least. Again, I selected that one. I'm going to hit Shift, hold it down, and then I have them both selected. I'm going to click Control D, and now I am going to rotate this 15 degrees. Now if you stay inside this blue circle, it's not going to work. So you have to go outside the blue circle and move it 15. And why 15? Oh, so wrong. I got it so wrong. I'm going to duplicate again. But why 15? Because it's going to go into 360 degrees evenly, because that's how many degrees there are in a circle, 360. So now I'm going to hit Control D, and it's going to keep on going perfectly. And there you go. We have that right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to ungroup this because I want that ring and I don't want to work for it. It's too much. Okay, do I have the ring selected? I do. I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm going to shrink this to, let's say 30 by 30. And then I'm going to move it up. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but it's not exactly centered. So I'm going to select everything. And now that everything's selected, I'm going to deselect this by hitting Shift and then clicking on that. There. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this just a little bit thicker by changing the settings over here. And then I'm going to add a little, I don't know, it looks like a wooden sphere that's elongated. I've seen it on a few shields that I've seen on television. And while we're waiting for that, let's just go ahead and grab that part right there. That's what we're going to use. The sides are already maximized. So like I said earlier, I'm going to make this the wall thicker. So I'm going to change that to 2. Good. I like that. I'm going to make sure it's aligned perfectly and centered. Good. I'm going to grab this and put this. This, I don't think it's, let's see. Okay, well, obviously, I don't want to eyeball this. I just want to make it straight. And this part right here, what's the height? 16? Okay, so 16. I'm going to click the letter L, align, and there you go. Now, students in my class, I would like you to turn in this one, But I'd also want you to change it to make it something that you would like. And if anyone who's listening wants to see what else there's out that you can look at and get ideas from, I typed in ancient wooden shields, and then I looked at images, and my students will need to turn in their own design. So you can make it look like any one of these. Even this one's acceptable. So try something. There's a lot of different decorations, but you need to turn in both this one and one that you've designed. Heck, put your name on it. I don't care. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this and have a great day.